And I don't know that I can articulate this adequately, but for those of us who have been in failing human relationships, when they fail, and particularly when it's um, a romantic relationship, and I am trying to keep everything together the best I can, and so is my partner, and we're playing every card in the deck, trying to keep things going. And then you get down to the last card and you look at each other right before the divorce and you realize you're looking in the mirror. Everything that person says and is doing, you're in the exact same place. And then it's separation time, mirror image. And that's a lot like our politics is right now. Our politics is so polarized. We're in a national community that is in the process of divorcing. And part of the problem we have, of course, is the hyperbolic rhetoric and the inability to discourse in a honest way. And those people that follow me on X, and you can follow me at Prof Penn Podcast on X or Professor Penn Podcast on Getter. I wouldn't say I'm prolific because I'm not doing it to make money, but I'm constantly commenting when I have time to do so. And what I find out is there's a lot of people that are just not very um, neighborly. Uh, they, you know, I mean, it doesn't bother me. I mean, it's okay. I just think it's suboptimal. And what we need is to restore some reasonable discourse and reasonable debate, even among people that come from very different communities. And I've tried to set this up, and it doesn't happen, and that's cool. I mean, um, I had this thing with this Julius Hernandez, and I told him I'd debate him, and he's 40 years younger than me. He doesn't know anything about me. Where I come from, just so you know.
You're trying to
Yeah,
debate a guy that's my age?
yeah, yeah. He's a Democrat socialist, I think, and he was riding me on X, and I said, "Let's get together and debate."
And he basically just said, "Nah."
Well, no, he said, "Yeah, I'll do it," and I said, "Great." I said, "DM me," and he never did. Like I'm supposed to chase him. I would consider that when I hang around with somebody that's 25 years old,
Yeah.
they're lucky to hang around with me.
Thanks,
I mean,
David.
well, I mean, I well, okay, you're 25 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, do is there benefits from hanging around with me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I wouldn't treat him any different than I treat you. I don't have to agree with people to enjoy being with them. And what these leftists don't understand is my parents were the original gangsters of communism in Minnesota, the OGs. I mean, my mother and father ran the deal for 40 years. They were they were the people that created the world you're living in. And you don't even know their names because that's politics. In politics, when you leave the field, the sands of time blow over you like bang, you're out of the game.
Yeah.
But when they were in the game, they ran the leftist program here in Minnesota. I mean, it wasn't just them, but they were at the head table, and their opinions mattered, and they changed things. So when I get together with leftists, it's not like I don't understand where they're coming from. In fact, what they believe, my parents thought it up 40 years ago. I heard it around the dinner table when I was 15 years old, man.
Yeah.
So, but mirror image is when you melt down to the bottom of the relationship and you look in the mirror and you go, "Oh, this isn't going to work anymore." And I'm bringing this up as mirror image because I made a big deal on the last podcast about this uh, section in the big beautiful bill that reads, "No state or political subdivision thereof may enforce any law or regulation regulating artificial intelligence models, artificial intelligence systems, or automated decision systems during the 10-year period beginning on the date of the enactment of this act." And my comment was, write your Congress people because we want to have rights as citizens in the states. And anytime we're going to preclude a political process, it's very suspicious to me.
I have a question about this though. I was
Yes,
thinking on this last night. So when it says regulating AI, I know like what you're meaning when you say that, but is there any chance that what they're meaning is they're trying to protect that we the people still have access to AI because DeepSeek had came out and a big like issue with that was it was open source. So then everybody had access to it.
this is what I mean about mirror image. You can see anything in this paragraph you want to, because let me give you another cut at it. What if California decides that they want to regulate free speech through AI? And the way these platforms work, if California makes a decision, they change the regulatory framework all over the world because it's that big of an entity.
Mm.
Like when Europe regulates AI or regulates the social platforms, they change them internationally. So I think you could also, besides saying that the people don't have control, the people don't have control. You understand? It's a mirror image. It's really going to depend on who's in power because it could be as simple as keep your hands off the money, you greedy states. That's ours.
But could it also be I'm just asking this so I actually understand it too. Could it be similar to they're trying to push regulations on guns and all that's done is made it harder for citizens to get guns? That's what I worry. Are the regulations that they're trying to stop from happening are the regulations that would stop the average Joe like me and you to have access to this powerful AI?
It's not written very clearly, is it?
No, no, now that like, I was
That's the
last night, I was sitting there thinking about that, and I was like, I don't wanna let it just be and then let the evil scientists make whatever AI they want, but if you regulate it, that's definitely a point that you could go, "The average McDonald's worker does not need access to this AI," you
exactly.
know?
It's
So,
that's why I call this episode mirror image. It's we've gotten down to the point where the scope and pace of technological change is beyond human comprehension. That's the point of AI.
yeah,
And how this is going to go down in the future is really going to be determined in large part by who's running the show. If we got a bunch of debauched, crazy, demoralized people that we keep electing, this isn't going to have a good outcome. If we suddenly go and get involved in the political process, become educated, and realize the future of our species, the future of our life, the future of our children's lives are dependent on how this very powerful technology gets implemented, over the next year, 2 years, 3 years. If, this is the criticality of the moment. This is why we're doing Free People Radio. This is why I support Royce White. Uh, there's no perfect politicians, but Royce is not going to sell out. It's just not in his DNA to sell out. So he has deficiencies like we all do. But, if we elect him to the Senate, he's not suddenly going to become a different person because every Senate seat gets $6.95 million dollars of lobbying money every year. This is the seduction of the process. If I had it my way, if I was made king for a day, there wouldn't be any money in politics. We don't need it anymore. We got digital communication. Like the campaigns could be limited to $100,000 for signs and hats,
yeah.
and then the digital is free, and then just hold debates. I mean, when we would do that, if there was no lobby, no not now the Supreme Court ruled that this was free speech, and I understand that, and I'm not king. But every benefit has a cost, and the benefit of freedom has some very intense costs. And we're very good at analyzing benefits as human beings. We kind of suck at analyzing costs, unless, of course, you're an accountant. If you happen to be out there and you're watching me and you're a certified public accountant, you know that there's two sides to the ledger and they got to be related to each other. The average person doesn't. Do you realize every benefit has a cost?
Yeah, yeah, when I was I have an amazing teacher that taught me most of my video skills at the very beginning. He was my history teacher as well. And he taught me the acronym TINSTOFL. There is no such thing as a free lunch. and he taught me that in economics, but I have when that is I don't know, that's been my philosophy for everything. There's no such thing as a free lunch. So, to your point, every benefit has its cost.
and somebody's going to pay it in
Yeah.
some way.
Yep.
Like the AI. My thing with the I said I'm using it, uh, and I'll use it till they drag me away because I can get information that I would need a team of researchers that I can't afford. But the cost is like for me, like this phone for me is a hammer. I have no self image in here. I'm not attached to the social aspect of it. I know it's a surveillance device. I've been thinking about just if this doesn't work out, I'm going off the grid and I'm going out to the farm. I mean, I'm starting to have these fantasies
Yeah.
of just complete withdrawal because when this goes wrong, it's going to go wrong really quick and really powerfully. Because every time I ask it a question like how much money was spent on lobbying, it doesn't forget that I asked the question. So right now, there's a complete profile on me based on but I'm going to use it until, like I say, they drag me away. Well, I don't want to get drug away. That's why it's so important that we go to precinctstrategy.com, that we learn how to get into the political realm, that we actually participate in the political process. That precinctstrategy.com has everything you need to know to get into the game of politics. Now, Dan Schultz did this in reference to the Republican Party. And let me tell you how, and we're going to talk about this in just a few minutes about outflanking. The Republican Party of Minnesota and nationally, in every state, there's a battle. What is a Republican? What is a Republican? We don't know anymore because the category is changing. And I got a call from a political activist, and she said to me, guess what? I go, what? The Republican Party wants to hold a softball game, put on a softball game. I said, why are you calling me? She says, it'll be rhinos versus patriots. So the party is trying to get what they call that's their word, patriots. They want the patriots and the rhinos to mix because human beings have this communal need. We generally, as a species, most of us avoid conflict. The idea is let's get everybody together and pretty soon we'll all be rhinos again. That's their plan.